Hi, my name is Rik Hepworth, and I am here at Microsoft Ignite with, I've got to say, a personal hero of mine, Jeff Sandquist. Those of you who've been around as long as I have will remember Jeff from the very, very early days of the I've got a camcorder and I'm going to kick somebody's office door down of Channel 9 and the early sort of evangelism days of Microsoft of sort of 10, 15 years ago. So, Jeff, tell me, what are you doing now at Microsoft in your current role?
You know, we like to say on our team that we're reinventing Microsoft's relationship with developers. I think of developers, that's a real simple shortcut to think of all the technical people that use our products and services. So developers, IT pros, data scientists, and you know, my team is laser focused on how do we really every day just simply help developers. How do we help them get the materials to do what they're doing? How do we listen and understand how our products need to work for them? How are they using the things? And really do connect with them in a way that's authentic, online often, and in person. And so I lead a whole bunch of things for Microsoft. I work in Azure engineering under Scott Guthrie. We really, we run things like docs.microsoft. We build that. That's a handcrafted solution for technical content, that we've been maniacal about creating the last couple years. Microsoft Learn this week. Go to microsoft.com/learn. All built on top of docs.microsoft.com. Self-guided, self-paced way, unlock achievements, and learn Azure without ever doing a credit card. And again, that's training and content that we want to make available to everyone. I have a great team of folks. We call them the Azure Advocates. It's people around the globe that are really about connecting with the community. We connect online, we share content, we learn, and it's really that modern sense of developer relations is what we do across the company. And I'm really proud to lead, the team that is part of that. And all of us in Azure, every day we get up trying to understand how do our products need to be better, how do we connect with the community. And at the core of that often is technical content and materials. And if there's something that I've always done at Microsoft, it's how do you connect with customers in the community? How do you share them relevant, accurate, authentic information? And that's what I do at Microsoft, and I'm really excited about the work that we've been doing because, a lot of the things that I believe that we are fixing are problems that we've had for a long time, right? From ensuring the accurate content, ensuring that the online experiences we create are really relevant for folks. So coming to Ignite, this is my favorite thing. You'll often see me out in between sessions walking around because I get to meet our customers and hear from people that I never would connect with. So this is really a fun week for us.
Okay, so I'd really like to talk about the stuff that you're doing now, but I'm interested, because you've been doing this for so long, I'd like to take a bit of a long view.
Okay.
So what do you think? You've obviously been on a journey. It used to be evangelism, now it's advocacy. There's a bit of a shift in focus.
Yeah.
If you sort of compared what you do now and the way you do it to the olden days when you were really pioneering, what do you think's changed and what's changed for the better?
I originally joined Microsoft probably around 95. So if you really want to have a long view, we can go back to that. My first day at the company was answering the phone, answering developer questions. I began in support, and I think that always makes it so I have this customer focus. But you go back in around 95, 96, like way back Windows 95 days, we called it technical evangelism. And it was really, you could sway an entire industry by hopping in an airplane and visiting 3 or 4 customers back then. You could go talk to Peter Norton's team at Norton Utilities, if anybody listening knows what that is, and you'd make sure that they're on Windows 95. You would go talk to WordPerfect. You would go talk to all these other different companies to make sure that they're investing in things like graphical user interfaces. And we could do that. You look at today, boy, people have choices. There are so many different opportunities, and developers and any technical audience, any technical person, where do they start? They go to search. They look for information. It's 2 a.m. They're not walking down to procurement asking if they can get a new copy of Windows. They're making a decision right then and there. And we know we have to be there. We have to be there in those search results with whatever terms they're using with accurate content, and we have to go connect with the community. Now, if you look at today about how we organize developer advocacy, and I lead that across the company for cloud and AI, it's quite a bit different. One, there's a lot of online work. Twitter, right? Back in the day, you maybe had forums and different things, which we still have, but Twitter really has become a community and really the back channel for a lot of tech, and we need to be out there. Many of our folks have large followings, some don't have huge followings in building it, but they need to be out there and connecting. And so people that do IT ops work, they're out there in IT ops Twitter. We have people that are out in Kubernetes Twitter. Our advocacy team is not aligned by products and technologies. It is aligned by Microsoft, frankly, not Microsoft, communities. We have a team around Java, a team around .NET, Xamarin, a team around Node, Python, security, Kubernetes, and that's really important. For example, our Node team really gets to look at that audience and that customer set left to right. They can talk about VS Code. They can talk about App Center. When our team who works on Java, when they think about connecting with their community, they're thinking about, hey, let me show you how Jenkins works great. Our style and approach is about teaching. It's about not selling. It's one of the best jobs on the planet, and I know it is because I approve all of their expense reports. They travel and connect also locally at a lot of third-party events. And frankly, many of those third-party events, when we started going to them a couple years ago again, people were like, wait, why are you here? And they would, these were even at things like our Kubernetes conferences and so forth, when Brendan Burns, one of the founders of Kubernetes, and even some of the folks from my team that worked on it, like Jess Frizzell, they're founders of that product, and they work at Microsoft. And so, it's been a really neat time also about open source, right? All of our docs systems, right, are built around GitHub so that it's open source by default. Really making it so that, you think about 10 years ago when you went to go, if you saw a problem with a doc, I don't even know what you did. Maybe you send it to MS Wish, an email, and you might have got a reply maybe. Now you can go, hey, let's do a pull request. Let me click at it. We'll submit that, and in many cases, they're approved in about an hour and a half. Great evangelism, or what we call advocacy, which is really an industry discipline. There are conferences around developer advocacy. Many of my team, when I'd start talking to people and bringing them into this discipline, they're like, wait, this is a real job? I can get paid to do this? I do this for fun? And I said, yes, you can, and it will be fun, and it will be hard work, but it's a discipline where you are in engineering. You are a representative of the engineering team. You are an engineer yourself. All of the folks on my developer advocacy team are engineers. They could all get very great jobs writing code full-time, and many of them, many days, write code full-time, but because they hunger, they connect with the community. Community folks are a special breed. They're the people that don't want to leave the facility till 3 a.m. till the last person is talked to, the last question is answered, and the last person is taken care of, and made sure that everybody is ready for the next day to show up. And for me, my career has been made amongst that, working with the community. Our team, in things I talked about earlier, we run the MVP and RD program. We're really shepherding that to make sure that we can drive a great quality program. A lot of people don't know that in my first job at Microsoft, when I was a support engineer for active server pages, I specialized in JavaScript back then, which was kind of rare. One of the proudest moments I had, first moments at Microsoft, was when I became an MVP lead. It was around 96, 97. And so I have a long history with that program. I know it's made up of very important and influential folks that we get a lot of insights to, and we're going to continue to develop that. I left Microsoft for a little while. You'd mentioned that as well, too. And I left probably, we'll correct the math, but it's probably, I've been back now about 3 years. I left a little over 5 years ago. And I came back to a very different company. I loved everything that the company did for me and my family growing up. And after about 15, 16 years, it was time to go. And I moved to Silicon Valley. I worked at Twitter for a couple years. I got asked to come back, and by a few great folks that are pretty senior leaders in our company, and one of them joked and said, we're going to fix this bug. And I said, what bug's that? The bug that Jeff is not at Microsoft and not working on developer. And I never came back and work on advocacy. I actually, Scott Guthrie was talking to me and said, look, there's this really important job that I need you to do. And I said, I'm wondering, what is it? When I was at Twitter, I launched a number of products around mobile, developer, Crashlytics. It was a phenomenal experience. And I was waiting for it. And he says, it's the most important thing that we can go do, Jeff. It's really going and fixing our technical documentation. And I came back, and a lot of people were like, what are you working on? And I said, I'm working with our writers and our technical documentation team, and I'm having a lot of fun. And I really think this will be impactful. It was one of the best moves I've ever made in my life. The first move was leaving the company. I can tell more about that. The second best one was coming back coming back and working on technical content, building out that team. There's no point in doing evangelism or advocacy or any of that work or connecting with the community unless you have product truth and that your technical documentation can get you there, because you can talk about all sorts of things. We have people on stage here, and unless I can connect somebody to a nice little link on Docs to get started, why bother?
So, I'm a big fan of the new docs.microsoft.com. I want to steer you in a slightly different direction, though. So, you talk about the great advocates. I think it's a really interesting shift from evangelism to advocacy. And I also think it's a really interesting shift that I know if you look at the advocates that you've got now, it's a very diverse team, it's a very inclusive team. And it's inclusive in a way that the great diversity and inclusivity people probably don't think of, because you've got IT pro stroke ops and dev in the same group working together, haven't you? Do you think that sort of cooperation, collaboration, and overall inclusion is important?
1,000%, right? Well, just look at us and our roles and our jobs, right? And again, I'm going to kind of bring this, I'm going to answer your question, but I want to point out something about Docs as a moment, right? We've had MSDN and TechNet for many years. We had these barriers where we'd say IT over here, developer over here. I don't know if you've looked at networking these days, but you've got to write code to do networking. Developers have to look at Active Directory. IT people need to look at SQL. And one of the first things I did was, we were talking about, hey, we need to build this new system. What are we going to call it? Do we need a brand? And I was like, look, docs.docker.com just seems to work. Docs.twilio.com just seems to work. Docs.stripes just seems to work. It's Docs. Let's make content by engineers for engineers, and let's quit segmenting people, because we just need Docs. They need to be quality, and we need to help navigate our customers to things. Frankly, most people come from search anyway. And that was so important. Bringing that back to our advocacy work, that happened, we started building that out. Like I said, you need a great Docs. No point in doing that until you have it. We started building that out after started building docs.microsoft.com. And we decided not lining the team by product and community, by product. We said by community. And so IT and ops and all of the people that connect around that, they're just a community. And we're all better together. Think about DevOps, right? The whole DevOps practice. Donovan Brown works in our team. He's one of the finest presenters in our company. You saw him on stage at the keynote. He is all about DevOps, which is about people and the process and that union. And, we have that team together, and it is so diverse. Diverse on all the dimensions that people talk about. Diverse in background from company. We have people from startups. We have people from Michael Bender, who ran what we called the crew here, and he was the leader of that and has been part of this community. He was a professor at a community college focused on AWS and cloud work, and he's on the team. We have folks that came from Google. We have people that came from Amazon, Docker, small startups. That level of diversity is so important. Many folks on my team had not touched Azure until their second day at Microsoft. But they were well skilled in the cloud or other areas, and we literally would bring them into the Channel 9 studio, record them all day. What was their experience? What do they do? And we bring that back to product. We are embedded. We are part of. We are integrated with engineering. We sit down with Scott Guthrie, Jason Zander, some of the most senior engineers, a part of a long day meeting that others participate in well too, working through product feedback and how do we ensure that our products work for the communities we represent. Unless this team was diverse, if you're going to build software for the world, you're going to build docs for the world, you got to have people from the world. And we ensure that things are localized up into 64 languages. We ensure that it is translated with linguistic quality. The only way that works is if our team is made up from people from the world. The only way that we can be the cloud that everyone wants to use is that if we bring people from all of these communities. So we very purposely went across and said, look, who's doing great stuff in Java? Who's doing great stuff with containers? It's Jess Frizzell. Who is really connected and just really takes care and shepherds the community? Ashley McNamara and some of her art she creates. Rick Klaus, right? He's been out there and doing data center migration work, and now he's out here and connecting the community. And I get asked lots of things about did you set targets? No. Here's how we built the team. We hired a number of key leaders from those communities, and we said, go hire the best people that you want to work with. And then we worked to go hire them. It turns out in many cases, diversity leads to the best candidates and better teams. And we've been building up that culture in the team that is really maps back to how Microsoft thinks each other. We're data-driven. We're maniacal about our customers. We are, every day we get out there and we know that things suck. We know that things are hard. We know that we are pushing more things to you to go learn and change on a daily basis. The next 3 years, and really what we've been on, all of us, not just Microsoft, is this transition to the cloud. We're all doing more than we've ever had. I think I like to say to our team, we all always seem to punch above our weight. But with that, move to the cloud, there's cloud to the opportunity. I hear, Gartner and people talk about trillions of dollars. I think about it a little bit different. Whenever there's a platform shift, careers are changed. People grow, they build skills, and that happened to me where I grew up in the .NET days and versus Java and how that happened. I look at how we are able to help companies, and companies can grow. People that never had, maybe had a certain job that maybe didn't know that they could grow to be an architect or even just have more success in their own role. With that change, their lives will change. We can do good in the world too. I'm part of a company under Satya that cares about diversity, cares about how we show up, and we're citizens and members, part of this community. And we can do good for the world while doing our job. And all of those things that come together, the only way they happen is with a diverse team. Last thing I'll say about it is you'll see a lot of our team out on Twitter, and you'll see them really connecting and caring for each other. If you've ever been part of a traveling team in any way, shapes, or forms, you need to have that. Some people go, I say this, our developer advocacy team is really a family. And that is so important because they have to take care of each other. They can be on the road sometimes for weeks at a time. People get sick. You got to help one another. Somebody can't speak a certain day because seriously they've gotten the flu or they're in another country, or hey, they've got a laptop problem. The team rallies and takes care of yourself, and I think that comes through on social. And it's really about a culture that you have to have in a team where everybody has to take care of each other. Everybody has to watch for someone. People, again, hope this doesn't happen, but people on the road and family things happen, and they can be far away. We can be on the other side of the world, and so you'll look at us as being a very inclusive team. And really, I talked to the team about how they're really part of the heart and soul of Microsoft that is reinventing our relationship with developers. We have so much work to go do, and it's really the work that we do that has to be done in connection with the community, at these events, helping us find out when our docs are right, helping us deliver training through different things like that. That's how we can only do it together. And so it's a really exciting time to be back at Microsoft.
That's great. So I've got to say, this has been the easiest interview I've ever done, because evidently Jeff can just queue himself up and keep talking forever, and I would love to keep talking forever, but you have to be somewhere in now 8 minutes.
I can get there in 4 minutes, so let's keep going. I'll talk less.
All right, and now he's thrown me because I've got to think of another question. So let's go right back to the early days then. What made you get into that community engagement and doing the whole? I remember when you guys first started, literally with a cheap camcorder, going, "Hey, I'm in your office, draw something," and that was really cool, and it drove me to do similar kind of community engagement. What was it like back then?
It really happened after one of these events. We were at a professional developers conference, and a boss of mine, Len Pryor, he actually works in my team now. He actually leads part of the MVP team and so forth. He came back to the company. He said, wow, if we could just connect with customers every day like we did at a PDC, our jobs would be so easy, because once you connect with an employee, you learn lots about them and you can set contacts. Boy, that'd be easy. And I said, why don't we do it online? And we worked for another boss named Vic, and he was like, yeah, you guys do something with RSS, maybe video. We literally went to Best Buy. I don't think we were supposed to do it. I think we bought a couple camcorders, and we just went around and filming stuff. And we tried to figure out, this is before YouTube existed, before Twitter, and we tried to have a unique way to come video and comments, and we shipped it, and that became Channel 9. And I know that when you're on an airplane and you meet somebody and they go, hey, where do you work? Microsoft. And they're in the tech industry, they often would say things, wow, I'm surprised, you're just like me. And I'm like, but we're just nerds, and we're just the people on the other side of the keyboard. And there's a magic about getting people connected to that. I've done community all my life. I mean, literally, I think I was 10 years old in a small town in Saskatchewan with a Commodore 64 bulletin board, and that was how I connected to the world. And we had about 100 people that lived in my town, and I worked on a BBS, and I ran that, and that was community to me. And that was forums and threads back then. So I've always been a part of community, and it's a natural thing where You know, as nerds, we go, and engineers, we go 1 + 1 has to equal 2. Community is the rare time where 1 + 1 = 3. And those early days were very special. I look at them and I think about, we didn't know what was ahead of us. A lot of people didn't think Channel 9 was going to become anything, and it did. It really has become part of our DNA about sharing and connecting. Microsoft has some of the most liberal social media policies of any company. We want to make sure that people can connect authentically with the community. And those early days were great. They're phenomenal. And I remind people that are going through the transformation right now that may be in their first jobs, you're going to look back at this time, and the people you meet now, 10 years from now, you'll be leaders of industry. You will look back at what you did and you can't imagine. And so those days were special. Right now feels a lot like that too.
That's great. So now you do only have 4 minutes to go. So we are going to wrap. So I would like to thank Jeff Sandquist for his time. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And I know we're going to talk to various members of your Ops Advocate and the League of Extraordinary Developer Advocates as well over the next few days. So
awesome.
I've been Rik Hepworth. This has been Jeff Sandquist. Thank you very much.
It's been my honor. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.